my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the number, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Big time, lot of slime. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me, yeah. Big time, big time, big time, big time. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Lot of shine. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of grind. It's running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me. Big time. I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of shine. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try and take it from me, from me, from me, from me, from me. Big time, number 9. Down in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to a Thursday edition of the Ysn Power Hour. DJ Oakley here. We've got CJ in the Bear Cave. We got Donnie Ricks in the Man Cave basement. And we got EB in the Columbiana studio location for YSN. Guys, before... Oh, there goes CJ. There goes the bear must have got him. So, right off the jump, boys, I noticed that we're back on Twitter, which means, in a hockey term, we are full strength back on social media. So, welcome back, Twitter fans, to the YSN Power Hour. It's good to see you again. Don't know what the hell we did, but we are back online on Twitter. So, I don't know if we were in Twitter jail or what, but welcome back to the Twitter Nation. So, for those of you who have not seen this show in quite some time, we have changed the national day that is with On This Day in Sports History. And on this day in sports history, January 20th, 1980. Anyone want to take a crack at this? No?
I wasn't even 1 year old yet.
1980?
I was born in 79.
I was just a twinkle in my parents' eye.
Yeah.
Wait, 1980? Does it have to do with hockey?
No. A lot of sports.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Title IX.
President Jimmy Carter announces that the United States will boycott the Olympics in Moscow.
I do remember that.
I was -5. So
I don't remember that when it actually happened. I do remember seeing that on ESPN.
Why anybody know history? Why did we do that?
Cold War.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Anthony's talking over there.
I hear him.
I can't hear him with these
Pipe
new
down,
headsets.
Hartwig.
I can't.
Pipe down.
He says pipe down. You had your show.
You had your show. For 2 hours,
Oh.
for Gravity sake.
See, the good guys get 2 hours. The bad guys, we can't handle 2 hours. The world couldn't handle us for 2 hours.
The world could not handle us for 2 hours. Let's reverse that.
That would be true. So the Cold War prevents the United States from competing in the Olympics in 1980. With the Olympics coming up, we'll do a twist. With the Olympics coming up, what's the one event you're most looking forward to in the Winter Olympics here in 2022? CJ.
Oh, you got to give me a second. I got to think of the sports.
There's only one answer, and it's bobsledding.
Oh no, I
Bobsledding.
got a better answer for you.
Curling?
Go to them first. I'll go last.
All right, let's go, Donnie. Let's hear it.
The Chinese women's hockey team.
Just the Chinese women's?
Yeah, we have a local tie because we have a local tie to it. Todd Berkey, who was YSU's trainer, men's basketball trainer for years at YSU. Reagan Berkey is his daughter. He is the trainer for the Chinese women's national hockey team.
Seriously?
For the Olympics. It's dead serious. Do you want him on the show?
Why not?
It's a 6-hour difference right now where he's at.
Forward or backward?
I don't know.
Forward. He's gonna be forward.
We'll figure it out. He's either gonna be dead tired or wide awake.
What's any different than any other day with us?
We should do an Olympic show where we get some insight, some real insight. You know, he's so excited that he gets to walk out and opening ceremonies and everything in the Olympics. It's crazy.
Does he have a translator?
Yeah. So here's how this all came about. He had a grad assistant from China that worked with him at YSU. They became so close. He went back to China and visited them and didn't realize this kid's family was pretty high up there in ranks. And he was actually training he was actually fixing ailments on generals in the Chinese army and in the Chinese military. He actually was training athletes as well. And it was crazy. We almost had this lined up, but COVID hit. There was a girl, and she's all over TikTok right now. She's about Mackenzie's age, 7'4", was going to be living in Boardman, Ohio, because they wanted Todd to train her. And he said, "I can't live in China that long." And they said, "No problem. We'll send her to the United States."
Look, man, if y'all come out with a 7'4" chick next year, I'm done.
Listen, and I'll send you pictures. I'll send you pictures after the show of him training this girl. Oh, by the way, he trained another girl from China. She was 6'6", but the girl that was 7'2" at the time, she was only 12 at the time, 7'2", and was monstrous. She's all over TikTok right now. If you look her up, I don't know her name, but just look up 7'6" Chinese girl playing basketball. I swear to God, it's 15. She's 15 or 16 years old, and it's unbelievable to see the size difference between her and everybody she's playing. But Todd Berkey was going to make that happen. I mean, he called me. I remember it to this day. I was walking through Home Depot getting stuff. We were remodeling our bathroom, and I get a call from Todd, and I'm like, "Why is Todd Berkey calling me at 9:00 in the morning on a Saturday?"
Zhang Ziao or Ziyu.
Yep.
14.
That's it.
7'4", bro.
And I'm telling you, I think this was going to happen. Because Todd had his oldest daughter was going to Cal U for volleyball, so they had an extra bedroom. So 7'4" and 6'6" were both coming to the United States.
See that?
Yep, that's her. I'll verify.
That looks like the picture. That looks like the picture from Dodgeball with Bernice.
Yeah.
Damn it, Bernice!
Dude, that's how you remember the movie Jack with Robin Williams when he's like a grown man in 4th grade.
Yeah. Yep.
That's...
I will confirm that picture after the show because I'm
who's
doing the show from my phone.
Donnie, who would be the tallest girl in our area right now playing basketball? Is it
the girl from Cheney
Poland?
that's 6 foot? No, the girl from Cheney.
The girl that Ken's just scored on last.
She posterized her, knocked her to her bottom. I felt so bad for that girl. I was like, what just happened?
I
thought Kenzie was going to dunk it.
Around here, pretty typical is probably you get a couple of 6-footer like Cammie 6 foot, Sophia Gregory 6'1" or so, Evanek 6'1", I think Showalter 6'2", 6'3". Could you imagine those guys looking up to 7'4"? They would feel what it's like to be 5'5".
And not only it's 7'4", but where do you see the shoulder width on this girl? I'm going to send you the picture afterwards. You guys will be blown away.
I'm already blown away with EB's little Google lookup of 6'4" Chinese girl.
Yeah. Now, mind you, at the time, the picture that I'm going to send you at the time, she was only 7'2".
Huh.
What was Shaq? 7'1"?
7'1". Yao
My
Ming,
goodness.
7'7".
Yao Ming, Yao Ming, Yao Ming, Yao Ming. Okay, so let's get off of this for a minute. Guys, we talked about coaches. We had a great discussion about coaches last week on the show. Officials is going to be a main focus today because we all know that there's an officiating shortage going on right now, but there's also, and not to be too harsh on officials, there's also no excuse for some of the things that are let go. I've heard it, and I'm a firm believer that a foul is a foul is a foul, a strike is a strike is a strike, a penalty is a penalty is a penalty. You can't pick spots to where you get to throw the flag or blow the whistle or call a strike or a ball. You, as an official, are basically the guidelines of the way that game is going to go. And lately, guys, I've seen some of these games get way, way, way too out of hand. And I'm talking about physicality. I'm talking about over-officiating, right? A foul is a foul is a foul, which is I'm all behind that. But it has to be a foul. Like, you can't just blow the whistle to blow the whistle because you owe a team because you blew another call. That starts a spiral that you don't want to get into. So, from your standpoint, let's talk about the state of officiating right now across the board. Whatever sport it is, football, volleyball, basketball, baseball, softball, I don't care what it is. Talk to me about where you stand and what are some of the challenges that these officials are facing other than the people in the stands, because that in itself is a monster that we will dive into today. CJ, your thoughts on the state of officiating in our area?
So I'll speak mostly to baseball just because I don't really know how officiating goes for basketball.
Sure.
I've heard a lot of people complain about it. I can't tell you right or wrong. So I'll go for baseball. I think that for the most part, the umpires around here are pretty good. And the problem is that there's not enough of them. And like for us, for our WIPIAL conference in Beaver County, we only have 16 umpires. That's 16 umpires for varsity, for JV, and for freshmen. 16 in Beaver County. I mean, that's really bad. That's the problem, is that there's not enough of them. My main issue with umpires, if I had one, and I've toned down my displeasure over my years of coaching. I've toned it down to basically you guys control it. I'm not going to get into it. I never argue balls or strikes. But my main issue is when they take it upon themselves to start coaching my players. That's when I'm like, okay, listen, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. You don't tell my players how they are to go about it. What they should do is come to me, say, listen, your player did this. If it happens again, whatever, but you fix it. Tell me, I'll fix it. That's my main gripe with umpires, is when they take it upon themselves to coach my players.
Sorry, EB, I didn't mean to cover you up here. Steven Hemberger saying they can't be as bad as LeBray versus Brookfield at the playoff game where Brookfield jumps offside with contact 2 times and no flag. Now, I don't necessarily want to get into finger pointing during this conversation, but there's going to be some, obviously, examples that we have to bring up and present our case. CJ, from your standpoint, I'm completely on board with you. An official is supposed to be there to referee, to judge, to guide the game along, and to make calls. They are not there to instruct your players on how to field a ground ball, how to hit a line drive, how to do anything like that. It's frustrating to me when I hear that, because if you wanted to do that, with all due respect, take the pay cut and go be a coach. That's pure and simple. Take the pay cut and go be a coach. But we constantly have to defend officials and referees at this time because there is a shortage. If we had a surplus of referees, it would be the opposite. We'd be trying to kind of nitpick each referee and figure out who we're going to have on a given night, and the best of the best survive and the other ones don't. So, Donnie, from your standpoint, where is the state of officiating in our area?
Well, I mean, it's almost at a crossroads if you think about it. You do see a lot of the same guys and some ladies doing the same games all the time, and it is because of shortage. But the problem is with that is a lot of them have a little bit of an ego to where they feel like they're going to dictate how the games go. And I used to be so hot-headed. I used to get so mad at officiating and everything else. But like lately, it's one of those things where it's like, you know what? Now this official's tendency. Don't get upset when he goes that way, because he's going to go that way no matter what. And there are certain officials that will single out a player or single out a coach, and they continue to ride that person, and they nitpick and they look for certain things, and you just gotta hope that you can try to knock them from that and tell them, hey, just be consistent all the way around. Unfortunately, with the crews that we have anymore, they're all basically they're all basically doing the same thing, and it's tough because you don't want to continue beating them down, because they are the only ones that are left, and trying to get these younger guys in and getting games in and everything else. It's tough too, because you have league officials, heads of leagues that control these, where these referees are going, scheduling and everything else. They're not getting these younger guys in because they don't have the experience yet. But there's a lot of good young ones. There's a lot of really good referees all the way around. It's just you do have some of those ones that get sprinkled in, and they just have their agenda. I mean, I know there was an official, during one of the Salem boys games where he wouldn't stop looking into the stands. It's like, buddy, your job is to look on the court. If somebody yells out something, you got to get some thick skin and get going. It just comes with the territory. Now, in the same respect, us as fans, we should be a little bit more respectful too in what we're yelling out and everything else. And I get it. Travels in girls' games get called way more frequently than travels in boys' games, and there are so many more travels in boys' games, buddy, and jump balls. Oh my God, yeah, crazy.
I can't stand the jump balls.
Yeah.
I can.
They give them no time. They give them no time to try to gain possession of the ball. It's crazy.
No, and last night we saw some stuff. I mean, between Canfield and South Range, Anthony and I saw some stuff that, without a doubt, should have been called. But there's the let them play mentality. It's almost either too far to the left, kind of like our society right now. It's either too far to the left or too far to the right. Yeah. So you're either going to let them play and somebody's going to get a bloody nose, or you're going to be ticky-tack and you're going to have the game's going to last 3 hours because you're not going to be able to get out of there because everything's going to get called. I am interested because Mark Roth brings a great point. He doesn't care what the official is as long as they're consistent. And I think that's a fair and valid point.
And here's the thing too, because Mark's son is a big, and it's how do bigs get called versus guards get called too. It's within the game. Like that foul not a foul because it was against the big, or that foul was a foul because the guard went up against the big. You know what I mean? It's just it's one of those things where it's a game within a game, and how they call certain things within that game that a foul's a foul. Call it. You know what I mean? Don't sit there and say because Mackenzie's 5'5" that she went up against the 6'5" girl and didn't and she's the one that initiated contact and got called for the foul. No, it's a foul is a foul, plain and simple.
Or I've seen it the other way, where if a taller boy or taller girl is going up against a smaller boy or smaller girl, and the smaller person's on defense, and they get a strip or a steal or a stuff, it's automatically a foul because that shouldn't happen.
Shouldn't happen.
Somehow it defies the laws of physics that
Right.
that happened. I mean, sometimes you just have quicker hands, and you know where somebody's going to be. You just pop the ball out. And I don't believe that referees should blow the whistle or throw the flag because they are in a bad spot. So just because they put themselves in a bad spot to make a call doesn't mean that you necessarily should make that call, because if I was standing over there, I would have seen it more clearly, and leave it up to guesswork. So, I mean, it's the same way with umpiring. I've seen umpires that literally duck out of way of fastballs
Yeah.
and then call strikes. Like, if your head is moving, same as if you're batting, if your head is moving, you're not seeing that ball all the way in. If your head's moving as an umpire, you're not seeing where that ball ends up. You're just taking a guesswork. And I've seen umpires, I've been the bodyguard for umpires that are afraid of curveballs. Because if a ball breaks higher than my glove, it scares the bejesus out of them, and they go diving into a foxhole like they've got grenades blowing up around them. It's really interesting to me, and I feel bad for coaches sometimes, but I really feel for parents and a few specifically, because sometimes referees hear things, and umpires and officials in general hear things that they're just hearing things because they want to hear them. You know, from the standpoint of one person in the stands said, "Nice shot, Brick," and the official said that he said something otherwise towards a kid, and he tossed him out of the game. Like,
And
had him removed.
I think EB can attest to this too. As coaches, though, you have to be careful what you're saying, and you got to pick your fights, the right fights with the officials too. Don't sit there and argue everything. You know what I mean? And I'm sure EB can tell you that once a coach gets all over an official for some pettiness, it's over with that official. They're going to treat you completely different.
EB, I don't want to get you in any trouble, but you're free to speak however you like.
No, you won't get me in trouble. I mean, I know a lot of these officials from youth league and whatnot, so I'd like to think I have a pretty good relationship with most of them. But I always think about this. It is a dying, thing right now. It's almost like truck drivers in America, but like it's just a dying generation, and there's just not enough coming in to replace what's going out. So far for a lot of our games, I can't say we've had a bad officiated game. Maybe we didn't always agree with the calls, but they're always consistent. So you can't complain about that. Marlington on Saturday, was there a lot of fouls? Yeah, there was 45 fouls in a girls' game. I think they had 2 girls foul out. Fortunately for us, we're a little bit deeper, but it's not like we had 27 fouls and they didn't have any. It was pretty consistent, across the board. I think probably the best officiated game that I've seen so far this year was our game against Canfield. That crew did a phenomenal job. They let both teams kind of play. It was kind of physical, but they called it, both ways. It's they didn't let the little bumps, dictate anything. But if it was a big enough of a bump, it was a foul, and they went both ways. As a coach, I don't really complain to the officials too much. The only times I will ever say something to an official is if it puts one of my players in a position to get hurt, or their health or safety, or if it's just something completely obvious. I have to feel pretty, passionate about it. I'll sit there and, hey, fella, can you look at this? Can we start to count to 5 seconds? Can we get this? Can you look, or can you watch this? But very rarely, it's not my job to coach the officials, just as it's not the official's job to officiate me. It's all about the game. So, and that's what, myself and our coaching staff, we say it's a variable you can't change. So, you have to learn how to play it a little bit, but it's also, some of it is, from what I've seen, it's become inconsistent. And I think what it is inconsistent between boys and girls, because the girls' athleticism, speed, just everything in general has it's almost matching what the boys' game is like right now, and people just aren't used to it. The Euro step drives me nuts. I watch guys do it 900 million times in a high school game. It's nothing. And then a girl does it and it's a travel. Well, it's the same steps. And if you break down how a layup is, you get your gather step or your pivot and your one more, it's the same thing. Whether you alter the angles of it or not, there's really no difference. It's I don't want to say it's inconsistent because these guys do really do a good job. I think sometimes they get caught up with an anticipation foul instead of making the late call instead. And that's kind of, that's a tweener. Are you anticipating something, especially in girls, and it doesn't happen? So are you better to anticipate it, or are you better to have that delay and make the right call? Personally, I much rather see the delay, even if, possessions changed. But, all in all, it's been, I can't complain too much. I can't really say we've seen anything. Has there been bad calls? Absolutely. It's human error, but that's in every sport. I've seen them in football. I've seen them in baseball. I've seen it in, volleyball, but it just sides with human error in that too.
This is an interesting question. I'm going to kind of cover you guys up for a second. Anthony asks, do you feel like the bigger schools get higher caliber officials? I feel like I've seen better overall officiated games this year at Poland, Boardman, Salem, more than he has at Springfield Reserve and McDonald's, etc., etc. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think schools are assigned by guys like John Mank. So that's probably a better question for John or a commissioner of a league or somebody like that. But I think it just falls into who the assigner is, and maybe sometimes there's more comfort, maybe closer to home in the winter because a person lives in Poland or Boardman. They want to officiate Poland or Boardman if possible, as opposed to having to drive to a McDonald or East Palestine or anywhere else. I have to believe that's the case. I don't know that for a fact, but there's probably something to that. EB, do you tend to see some officials more than others over in Salem?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's any different. I see, a couple of same officials that do Columbiana games that do our games. I think that's definitely a question for Mang. He would probably be able to answer that a lot more thoroughly than I could. Because we're kind of in that weird position of where we pull people from Columbiana County, we pull people from Mahoning County, and then we also pull people from over by Alliance and Canton area too, just for who our league's in. So I don't know the ins and outs and how that all works. It's above my pay grade. That's something that you'd have to ask Mang. But I think it's been pretty consistent. Like, I've seen a handful of people when I go watch Boardman versus Jackson Milton. I know all three of those officials, and I see them, at a Columbiana girls game. So it really, I don't think there's any magic bullet to it. Sometimes it's just luck of the draw.
All right, so here's the next question, the one that I'm really interested in. You guys can, CJ, this is a big question for you because you're part of the youthful generation of coaches coming up, whether it's head, assistant, whatever. Do you feel like the trigger finger is getting a little happy for some of these officials, or is the line getting pushed by the coaches that's making the trigger finger come up a little faster with even warnings? Because I feel like there's things that are said right now that get warnings that are a little bit like, okay, take it down a notch. Maybe you had a bad day at work. Don't take it out on me. So where do you think this is? Is it the officials being too, thin-skinned, or is it the coaches or players being more aggressive, pushing them there? Donnie, we'll start with you whenever you bought back on.
No, it's all good. I think it's probably a little bit of a mixture of both, but I think coaches have been pushing the envelope a little bit too far as well. It's crazy because I'm a fan of basketball. I'm a fan of every sport, but I'll go to McDonald Sebring girls game, to watch a couple of people that I know play, and a lot of times those coaches they won't say a lick. But then when you go to, take for instance a game like last night, Warren Harding versus Boardman, they're all over the officials. So it's just I don't know. I think the problem is because there's so few officials left and they're all the same. I feel like a lot of those relationships have been established, and coaches feel like they can push the boundaries a little bit more. I don't know. I think officials most of the time get the raw end of the stick that way.
Well, to back that up, like because the official pool is kind of shrunk, you're not getting fresh blood.
Never.
So those guys hear it 4 nights a week, if not 5. Monday, Tuesday. So by a Friday, dude, you can't tell me those guys aren't like, all right, dude, I'm sick of you're saying the same thing. You want me to call over the back? Well, find the rule book and tell me where there's over the back in the rule book, because it's not there.
Never called anymore.
Well, and that, like, I sit there and you're always gonna complain about the judgment calls, the block and the charge. It's a judgment call, I guess. But some of those guys, I feel like they just get worn down throughout the week, because you hear, how they officiate on a Monday is probably completely different than how they're officiating on a Friday, just because naturally they've heard it for the 4 days before.
Yeah.
So the question now is, well, let's go to CJ first. CJ, I mean, the up-and-comer. I mean, you played baseball, and now you're coaching baseball at the high school level. Do you feel like the umpires are getting a little bit too thin-skinned, or are you seeing coaches, maybe you're on a coaching staff, or maybe you see one regularly that just continues to push the umpires to the point where the umpires don't even want to come to games anymore, let alone officiate them?
Some of the umpires, I think they can probably, grow a thicker skin a little bit and just, understand, it's a competition between 2 teams that are going at it as hard as they can, and you're just in the way at some points, and, you just kind of got to bear it a little bit. But yes, I've seen coaches push it. and a couple summers ago, I coached with our head coach. He was a little bit over the top. It was one of the summer ball teams I was coaching, and that actually taught me I got to calm down. And it taught me, listen, at any point, if I blow up, my relationship with that umpire is destroyed. Because I love the dude I was coaching with. He's a great guy, but he gets in this zone where he's like, any call against us is incorrect, and you're just wrong. And so fast forward a year later, the same umpire, the coach didn't like a strike called, and he tossed him immediately. He just tossed him. Just, you're gone. It's because that relationship was so broken that there was no trust anywhere, and he was gone. He was ejected. First game of the season, and he's gone. So, that's where that relationship factor has to come in. For a young coach, you have to build a strong repertoire with the umpires or officials or whatever sport you're doing. Because if you don't have that trust, you can't push any buttons. You can't say, listen, I think you're wrong on this. Let's talk about it a second. They'll just toss you. You're just gone. They don't know you. They don't like you. You're gone.
So that's an interesting question. So off of that, I'm going to ask the question to you guys. Do you feel like that exists out there where, either you're a coach or you're on a coaching staff and you see an umpire and you know that umpire very well for actions on the field, off the field, whatever, and you just kind of roll your eyes and you go, oh, here we go again. And do you think that lives in the heads of umpires, as they're human as well, naturally, at least to this point, they're human. Do you think that lives in their head where they walk onto a field or walk onto a court and go, oh my goodness, not this guy or this gal again. I got to deal with, obviously it happens because, to have a happy trigger finger like that. First question call. See you later. And do you have to be aware of that if you're a coach or an umpire, that these relationships, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, have already kind of had the groundwork laid, and you've got to kind of walk on eggshells a little bit. Donnie, have you ever been in that situation?
Oh, a thousand times over. I mean, I do remember when I was, this is probably 6 years ago. I was an assistant coach, and I had said something about, don't worry, they're protecting that player. And they were most certainly protecting one of the premier players in our area. And I kept repeating it time and time again. And when they said, one more time,
Uh-oh. I was waiting for the payoff.
This is worse than a cliffhanger. This is.
I know. That was mid-sentence.
When I got, did I freeze again?
You did.
Yep.
Oh man, where did I leave off?
Just start over.
Okay, so yeah, I have gone through that 1,000 times. There was an instance where, I was sitting on the bench about 6 years ago, and I kept saying, "Don't worry, they're protecting that player. I know you didn't foul her. They're just protecting her." And the official ran past. He's like, "Hey, one more time," and I wasn't paying attention to him because I was fuming. And I said it again because sure enough, they called another ticky-tack foul on us when they were protecting that player. And I said again, "Don't worry about it. They're just protecting her." And he gave me a technical, and oh my God, I'll never live that down. So, and then there was one other time when my very first year coaching, I was a freshman coach. We were playing Beaver Local, and I said to the official, "Okay, you let her travel you let her travel the first time. Are you going to keep letting her travel, or is this going to happen the whole game? I just need to know so I can shut up." And he teed me up there. So it's one of those things where you just got to learn, laugh, and just move on. You can't ride them. I mean, these guys, as much as you think that they're out for you, they're not out for you. They're just trying to officiate a game, get a paycheck, and go home.
EPA, have you ever walked into a gym, saw who's officiating it, and just put your head down?
Oh, I mean, I've walked in and seen who's officiating, put my head down, but to me, that happens probably more during AAU, like, because it's AAU is more of the Wild West, and you can get away with a little bit more because the gyms are louder, it's faster pace, and if Donnie got teed up for saying how many times you're going to let someone travel, I've said 100 times worse and didn't get paid. So, but also, if I'm going to say something, I know I'm going to have ground to stand on. I stole this from an area coach, but I say it in AAU. I don't really do it in a high school, but I said to the one guy, I said, "It's okay, bud. You'll get better with the game too." And just, but
wow,
he didn't like it. But then I called a timeout, and we're huddling up, and he tried to come into my huddle, and I said, "I called a timeout. You cannot come into my huddle." I go, "You stand over there in the middle of the court. When we are done with the timeout, then we can discuss something." And he kept on trying to get into my huddle, and I looked. I said, "Look, man." I was like, "Do not step into this freaking huddle." Now, this is AAU, and you can sit there, and a little bit of ego can go a long way, especially if you know or you're associated with certain people. But it's that's probably the worst thing I've said. But I really don't say much to officials, to be honest. Like, that's the worst thing I said in AAU. In a high school game, it's generally, I'll get a little personal. I won't get personal, but for instance, an opposing player tripped, and one of our players.
I saw that. That was terrible.
Picked her up. Well, the official didn't see it. He just saw her grabbing her and picking her up, keeping her so she didn't faceplant, more or less. Well, he called a foul, and the official actually talked to Coach Hamilton and everything. She was pretty heated because it wasn't a dirty play. She was just being a good person at that point. And finally, the official did say, that was my fault. I didn't see it. I only saw her grabbing her to help her up, so I thought she was holding her. And at least at that point, as many will say, if you screwed up, hey man, just say you missed a call or you didn't see it. Like that's all any coach really wants to hear. But there are times where I'll say under my breath, but loud enough for people to hear. Yeah, I know it's a girls' game. You'd be shocked that they can play just as good as boys, or maybe maybe these girls are a little bit too quick for what they're used to, or something like that. But that's just kind of being caught up in a moment, egotistical, fun banner, this and that. But a lot of those guys I know, and I'm never gonna say something to someone I don't know to where I can't be like, hey Jeff, I'm just messing with you, man. Come on, bud, or something like that. So I lay off them because they're there to do their job. I'm there to do my job.
Now there's also the officials who, and again, they're human, but this is what bothers me. If we are in a situation as coaches, as professionals, anywhere within that game, and we make a gaffe, yes, do we laugh at it to ourselves? Yes, but you don't draw attention. Rule number one that I talk about in sports broadcasting is if you make a mistake in quarter number 1, you better not be talking about it in quarter number 4. And one of the issues that I saw on the floor earlier this year in basketball, and it was early, and usually there's a little bit of rust that needs knocked off, but it was an official who called a foul during a play, end of the game. It was a blowout game, and it was one young lady blocking another young lady accidentally, and they were on the same team. And she called a foul against the other team for that happening. And with all due respect, I've never seen a coach go off like, and if he didn't have a mask on, you'd be able to hear every word on the broadcast, but it was muffled a little bit. He had every right, because then they did the little group thing and then called off the foul, because you can't call a foul on somebody for blocking their own teammate down in the paint. So again, officials make mistakes, but later on in the game, that official comes around and you can audibly hear them and see them and read their lips say, how about that last one? That one was on me. No. Everybody saw you do it in the gymnasium. You don't need to draw more attention to it and laugh about it, because that's a bad situation. And you're making a bad situation worse. So I get it from the human element, is you want to kind of apologize without apologizing kind of thing, and not say my bad necessarily. But did you see that? What about that one? Just let it go. Everybody saw it happen. It's part of the game. You kind of just roll with it. We're going to take a break, guys, and this has been awesome discussion about officials, and we've done very well of not crossing the line, which I was worried about, given our panelists and myself as well. But when we come back, we've got some issues that are going to happen this week with the power rankings. There's going to be some jumbling going on, a little bit of scrambling on the power rankings, both the boys and the girls. We're going to discuss it when we come back right here on the YSN Power Hour.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
Cocos Pizza, always supporting our community and our local athletes. Stop in on game day or score big and have it delivered right to your door. Check out our daily specials at cocospizza.com. That's Cocos Pizza, we serve it hot.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
Hey guys, just checking up on Armidas Kachina, who will be at Birdfish tonight, and they are the proud sponsor. Look at that thing. Donnie, I know you're all over that. Look
I'd
at
be
that.
all over that. Let's go.
Let's go.
Goodness
Meet me there,
gracious.
Donnie. What do you got going on tonight?
Man, I got. I'll tell you after my spark.
Well, hey, I got to go watch Tori Long. It's her senior night, and I'd meet you there if you want to go.
Hey, come on up. Then we'll go to Birdfish after.
All right.
I'm doing that game.
Well, I texted Walt because I haven't got. I was with Walt last weekend. Well, you know, because we texted you. Mm-hmm. I told him I was like, I haven't gotten to see Tori play. I feel kind of bad, but tonight's her senior night. It starts at 6, so I told him I'd come watch Tori play and get some Armidas afterwards. It's open mic night too. You want to do a song? We can.
I'm down. Listen, I am down, and we'll play it tomorrow on the Power Hour. They're going to be there from 5 to 8, so make sure you get there and support them because they support you and the Power Rankings. Here's Week 7 for the girls. Donnie, I know you think there's going to be some scrambling at the top of the Power Rankings today. Liberty at 1, West Branch 2, Poland 3, Louisville 4, Salem 5. I know there's a lot of people that have some issues with that. I do myself. Howland sits at 6, Garfield 7, Canfield, Waterloo, and Springfield at 8, 9, and 10, respectively. All right. Talk to me, Donnie, about what you think is going to happen in the Power Rankings this week.
Well, I have a very, very strong feeling that number 1 is going to get knocked off tonight at Brookfield. Brookfield is a very good team. They only lost to Liberty by 2 at Liberty. And they have another close loss to Garfield, who is another team in the top 10 of the Power Rankings. So Brookfield was knocked out of the Power Rankings for the first time in a few weeks, and I think they climb right back in with a nice win over Liberty tonight.
Okay, so what you're saying is Liberty could have the elevator drop the same way that Salem did because it seems like everybody else is winning right now. And obviously there's a big matchup that we've talked about for a long time on Saturday between West Branch and Salem. So if Salem wins that, they can elevate themselves right back into probably, I would estimate, either the 1, 2, or 3 spot. You know, they can climb as fast as they fell. And if West Branch wins that, they should be the overall number 1. Anybody disagree with that?
I would agree with that 100%.
What does Poland have to do to get to be number 1? Or do they just have to wait West Branch out and see if they lose a game?
Poland was my number 1 week 1. They're playing great basketball. It's just, West Branch beat them. It's head to head. You know what I mean? So, EB, did you guys play Poland?
No, we scrimmaged them. Poland's, it's like the Jackie Grisdale hangover year. Yeah. And it's one of those things, like, they're a good team, but they're kind of probably where they want to be because they're not talked about a lot. You know, you're not seeing a lot about them like they were in the years past because you had Brown and then you had Grisdale and then there's the Grisdale show. I mean, they're just steady. I think that's just a word that defines what they are. That they are just steady because I think going into the year, everyone was like, man, this is going to be a down year for Poland. And I said this other day, and they just sit there and chop away. It's impressive.
Do you see they're calling DJ Folkley's calling for the 10?
That's why we all have opinions, and some people are on panels.
Oh, damn! Come on, man. That's my fake account. You can't treat him like that. I have no idea who that is. Okay, so we saw the girls. I heard a rumor today, guys, that in this bracket right here, the Power Rankings brought to you by Armidas Kachina, that Camel will be playing East Liverpool, and they're just looking for a date. Tell me that's not just unbelievable. Like that.
Well,
that to me is high flying action that you want to see.
That's awesome too. But you know what's happening Saturday night? Camel plays Cheney at Camel. That and Quinn asked me to do that game. I want to do that game so bad, but I have other arrangements, other plans. He luckily has somebody covering it. But Camel plays Cheney on Saturday night. If anybody with a pulse that doesn't care to watch NFL playoffs or whatever, or just bring your ESPN app with you, mobile app with you, and watch the games, for Christ's sake. Go to Camel and Cheney and just watch the pure athleticism on display. I'm telling you, it'll be crazy. Just like Camel East Liverpool, when that happens, my goodness. Might as well get Cheney to play East Liverpool as well, and we can all have a party.
I have a question for that top 10. Like, so I see Howland 8-5, Mooney 8-6, 8-5, 9. Like, how many of those teams have beat up on each other? Because that might be the most. Like 1 through 10, any one of those teams could beat the other team on any given night.
And
like,
you
that
know,
has to be the most even top 10 I've ever seen.
And if there's any case for Big Dog of the Valley that for Trey DePietro, it was last night because he didn't play last night, and you saw what happened. They ended up losing 54-47 to Harding, and if Trey's playing that game, it's not even a game. So hopefully Trey's back after tomorrow night. Hopefully he's back in the lineup. After taking that vicious elbow in the Mooney game. So, but yeah, I mean, EB said it right. They've all been beating up on each other, and it's so much fun.
How awesome would that be if that was an actual league? That top 10 as a boys league in the area.
Yeah, who eventually comes out on top? I mean, everybody healthy. I mean, East Liverpool I think has the best chance, but man, who eventually is crowned league champion after that? And look at what Springfield did to Poland. They beat Poland by 10 at Poland. And that's not easy because I told you guys on the show that Poland was gonna have was going to create an issue defensively for Springfield. Springfield was held in check all the way until that fourth quarter. They had a phenomenal fourth quarter. I mean, that was so much fun.
14 or something like that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
In the fourth quarter.
It was crazy. It was so much fun to listen to Romo talk. Do the game. And again, I can't say enough about Romo and Richie. Is it Giuliani or Giuliano? Giuliano. These guys are butter.
They are, man, and that's why they. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'll say it a million times. Those are the faces of the future at YSN. It's old guys like us, minus CJ. We're going to be dinosaurs by the time they're up in the 30s. Guys like CJ, guys like Romo, and guys like Richie. They're going to Ty Bartell as well. Anthony Hartwig, even though he's 30 now and feeling like an old man.
He'll never grow up.
Young, no, he won't. But I'll tell you one thing, as EB knows very well, is that YSN is taking over, and these young aspiring athletes are starting to realize that communications and broadcasting and having something so close to home is a good idea. And I think we're going to have some talented young ladies that are going to be joining the ranks here very soon. I'm looking forward to that, and from all aspects. I'm talking about producers and hype video people, broadcasters. The future is so bright, and it's because people love sports the same way that we do. So I'm excited for that. That's going to put a bow on the regular side of our show today, which brings us to everybody's favorite time of the afternoon. It is the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark presented by our friends over at DickeyElectric.com. Joe Dickey Electric proudly powering the Valley for over 60 years. I've been so close to getting through this damn show without coughing.
Have you tried those Mucinex drops?
I did. And they're glorious. I just forgot them on my counter today. They're in a red bag. They're ready to go. It's on me. The baby's got my cough now, so I think she gave it right back. So, let's go, CJ. What do you have leading us off today?
So, nothing too fancy today, but just MLB's, they're still in their lockdown, and but I did see something very positive today, and I was excited for it, and that's that the Rays' stupid idea to split the season between them and Montreal, and they would go up to Montreal during the summer months, and they would come back to Tampa Bay for September, and then their postseason. That was so dumb. That got struck down by Major League Baseball. So thank God that Manfred at least has some sense of decency and is grounded in some sort of reality. That was the dumbest thing that was ever proposed by anybody.
I look forward to CJ his spark every day because he's so even keel for like 49 minutes, and then the last 11 he's like, freaking Manfred, I hate the Major League Baseball. These guys are idiots. They're morons. It makes my day every day. Evie, what do you have?
Positive spark. I mean, it's rivalry week. We have West Branch Saturday. Dude, I hope that place is packed. Not only Salem fans, West Branch fans. If there is anything like you can take the power rankings out of this, but I promise you will not see a better rivalry game between girls basketball games and just how it's played and how hard both teams will play and the will that they will have to want to beat each other. It will be second to none. So since I won't be on tomorrow because we have practice, that's going to be, it's a positive spark because I promise you that there's not a better girls basketball rivalry around this area than those two teams going at it.
I can't hear you, Deej.
Is that better?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. I can't wait to do that game on Saturday. Cannot freaking wait. I'm going to bring it, so y'all better be tuning in because Amo and myself Amo just kind of said, I'm doing this game with you. There was no like, hey, can I do it? He's like, I'm doing it. Tough nuggets. You're going to have to put up with me. So I'm excited for it. It's going to be really, really fun. You've got a pro Salem guy and me. I like West Branch too, don't get me wrong, but we're going to play the part. I'm going to be pro Salem. He's going to be pro West Branch, and we're just going to go back and forth, and there's going to be tons of friction in that booth. So excited for that. Donnie Riccatelli, what do you have? I heard it's going to be good.
Listen, I have two very, very positive sparks, and they're both regarding each of my daughters. I'll start with Mackenzie. Last night, Mackenzie tied the single game record for assists at Boardman, which was held by Nadine Michella since 1993. And the significance of that is Ron Michella was a coach there for years. Ohio High School Athletic Association Hall of Fame coach. He had three daughters, Nadine, Christine, and Jolene. And Christine Michella Terleski passed away last year of ALS. And what the significance of that is, Mackenzie ties that record with Nadine, wearing number 5, which was Christine Michella Terleski's number in high school. So that in itself just gives me chills, knowing that she's on that record board with such a phenomenal basketball family, such a phenomenal basketball player. So I'm over the moon that she was able to tie that. That was a goal of hers since last year when she got 12 against Struthers. So, and then my last spark is my oldest daughter, Carlin. Just informed me today that she's a finalist for the Eminence Fellows Scholarship at The Ohio State University, one of only 75 finalists to make it for a full ride at The Ohio State University. So I'm over the moon. And I know a few weeks ago, last year we talked about how important it was for grades and everything else. And I know I don't allow B's in my house, and that's a firm reason why. The amount of work that she's put in academically is I mean, way more than I could ever imagine doing myself. So I mean, she's so deserving of being a finalist, and it's just incredible that two great things happen back-to-back days. So I'm and that's why we are going to go have a celebratory dinner and I can't go to Birdfish tonight to meet you guys. So I apologize.
Okay. Well, you're off the hook. You're off the hook. Congratulations, my friend. Congratulations to your entire family. That is definitely something to be proud of. And I know how hard you push them, and it's not always easy to do that when you just want to be a dad to wrap your arm around, your kids and say it's all going to be okay. So kudos to you, kudos to your kids, and obviously your lovely wife as well. So
thank you.
We're all rooting for you, man. Full ride, that'd be beautiful.
Sure would. Sure would. I was thinking season tickets to the Buckeyes, but whatever.
Hey, whatever.
No.
Whatever. Mine's gonna be short and sweet. I was watching a movie this morning with my wife, with my son, and the baby was around somewhere. She was in one of those swings. They did just kind of take care of themselves, So she was doing her own thing. But I'm a big quote guy, and most of you guys know this. And sometimes life gets real tough, real rocky, and real situations. And there was a quote that was said in this movie that really hit home with me, and it was that the stuff that matters is hard, and that stuck with me. Because we go through our day-to-day lives, and we always think that the things that we want are going to be easy because of a certain skill set, or because we want it, or because we push ourselves, or because we focus on something, and that is never the case. The stuff that matter the most to us in our lives are difficult. They're challenging, and the reason that they're so challenging is because we want to be the best at it. If we didn't care about it, it wouldn't be hard, and we wouldn't care, and we just push it aside, and yada yada yada. However, it's the stuff that we care about. It's being a good father. It's being a good parent. It's being a good coach. It's being a good student athlete. It's being a good boss. It's being a good role model, mentor, whatever it is in your life. If that's what you want to be, and that's what you want to excel at, I can promise you one thing. It's going to be tough, but it's going to be worth it. So if you're out there and you're going through some challenges today or this week or this month or this year, let me just tell you, just keep on that trail. Keep fighting. Keep going after it. Keep climbing. Find your footing and just keep on going. It's going to be hard. Expect it to be a challenge, because if you expect it, you might be able to push through it a little bit easier. So that's my words of wisdom. That's my spark for today, the 20th of January here in 2022. Gentlemen, thank you as always for your time. It's been a privilege and honor, and I hope to see you tomorrow right here on the YSN Power Hour along with you, because we close out the week tomorrow and we try to shake up the power rankings tonight. So on behalf of all of us here at Your Sports Network, we will see you tomorrow right here on YSN.
YSN thanks you for watching this presentation